Hi, Prasanjeet. Thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, heartiest congratulations for making it to the list of ETHR World Emerging HR Leaders. Let us know how it feels, and do you think it's going to make some difference to you personally or professionally? Would love to hear about that.
Thank you so much, Aditya. First of all, I think it was a glad moment. I would say a moment to cherish. When I told my family about this, and when I started writing up my questions and responding to some of those top priorities of things that I had done, and it made me to reflect about for last 12 years what I had been doing. You know, rarely you get a chance, right? After working for 15, 20 years, going back 15 years and looking at where you started your journey, it made me look that way, and my organization, as I work for a development sector, I don't work for a corporate. So it's an NGO that I work, and it's very uncommon where you know, from this sector, when we spoke about, because I had been part of corporates earlier before I moved into the sector. So I did speak to my supervisor. I said I'm going to apply myself for this, and then she's in US. No, she's in US, and she said, what is it all about? What is ET stands for? I used the abbreviation initially. Then I had to explain everything what ET stands, and I was able to share all those details. And then and she was glad that said that, Jeet, we would be glad if you are representing us, but are you sure you are going to make it? Because the question that she had was, because she said, Jeet, we don't know, we don't have any background, because they are from US and they don't know much of India's context. And I said, no, why don't you go through everything that I have shared? And she went through everything. And no, I said, any which ways we would try to know what we had. And she was very happy post seeing everything that you guys had in LinkedIn, in your websites, and she said, please go ahead and start writing up, and thankfully by the end, when I was able to do everything, she came up with a recommendation letter from her own. And I didn't even ask that for her. And she said, Jeet, I want to actually, make people know that, yes, whatever you have been doing makes a lot of sense to the organization. And I would say, yes, it even before winning that part of the ETHR award, I was glad that, the current organization where I have been working for last 4 or 5 years now, they had been recognizing in many different ways, but I was not expecting a recognition like this on an organizational letterhead signed by our global CEO, and the vice president HR in US, and they responding to some of those things, and flagging some of the things that I had been doing. So it was really great. And yes, once the award was announced, and it was a pleasure to be part of uh, a fraternity where I always felt like, let's do our bits. I believe always like that. Let's do our bits and pieces. And then you slowly fit in into the larger dreams. And I could see that happening somewhere where I was like, when I was looking at all the leaders and how I can fit myself into this larger HR umbrella. So that made lot of difference in, I would say, how we used to look at where we are in this whole ocean, and today we might look at, okay, in this ocean there was a time where we started swimming a bit. I think we have grown up and we have taken up responsibilities, and we are serving a community at a whole and large. So yes, Aditya, to answer to your question in a clips, I would say yes, it was an awesome feeling, where you get recognized for your work, and that too not from your organization, at the same time from a fraternity who looks HR as a whole, and looks at, the jury has gone through, might be they have gone through every answer, they validated those, and it makes a lot of sense when they recognize that aspect of effort that goes in a sector. And I kept in my answers also, and I would second it again, saying, many a time there's a difference people create when it comes to development sector and corporates. And I stand here to justify that, there are par excellence things that we do in a sector which is not marketed well. The only reason we are not marketed well is because we are not profitable. And I think there are a lot of things that as an organization we do, and we are at par in competitive market. compared to any such organization. So I think this award made me, take that step ahead, because I had been part of many forums that I keep saying that how are we equal? Even if it might be different, but then how are we equal in terms of efficiency? So yes, it makes a lot of sense, Aditya.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this, Prasanjeet, and I think it's very, very well deserved. So I'm sure the journey must not have been so easy as it sounds and as it seems. So tell us something about your journey. What really got you here?
Um, okay, let me give you a journey. I'll give you a story where I started off with. I actually started in, I was in I did my college from Cape Kohinoor Business School, which was in Maharashtra. It's Manohar Joshi's college, and post the Kohinoor there was a recession. Post my MBA there was a recession that hit very strongly, and the market was literally in a bad shape, and there was a big struggle in mind for a middle class guy to get into MBA and then go jobless back to the hometown. And but then fortunately, I would say I was the only one in my college who got a placement in a very small outsourcing firm. That's where my journey started. And Mumbai, the city of dreams, where I landed for the first time for the job, and things were not pretty good. That if you're happy about the job, but then when you land in Mumbai in a setup where you don't know anything, and it's the struggle starts there. It was a financial struggle, as well as it's a struggle where the expectation of the market before you started your MBA and where you landed once. It was a huge gap, and for me it was a trauma to make sure that where did I start and am I going to the track that I took. So that's where I started my journey. But then let me be very honest, I don't regret back today, because I started in a very small organization where I made I was allowed to do anything. I had that much of flexibility to learn coming out of a college, and I was allowed to do n number of things which I never had experience about. But then once you move and set up, I remember I had colleagues joining different larger organizations, and they have a very good setup and they have policies, processes in place. It's very difficult to become flexible at that point. When you are driven by a policy. And I would say I was in a place where we used to just sit in a couch and work. Not a very great setup. But then I remember the knowledge that I used to get, because the VP of that organization was an IITian, and he said he had a vision to take this whole HR setup function into a different level. Innovative guy, and every day comes with new ideas and suggestions, and open for us to do anything that we want to do. And I could learn that, and that was my first setting stone for my career. But then yes, I did a good learning experience from there. And then there was a shift in my career, because I was in Tally for a couple of years. But then I was back on my hometown, where I found you might have gone to Howrah Station ever, Aditya. So Howrah Station is one of the odd largest station, very big, huge station, railway station. And I was just standing there, and there were these rack pickers, a little guy. I was eating something. I was hungry. I was eating something because I was passing through. I have to go back to my hometown, which is 300 or 3.5 hours. So I was picking some breakfast early morning, and the food was not good, to be honest. So what I did, I just picked up, I ate a half, and I threw it in the dustbin. I didn't know where this little one was behind me and waiting for me. If I throw that, I don't know whether you had that feeling. He ran into the dustbin and started picking and found that food and started eating. That took me by a shock, and I decided that that day was a decision making and a U-turn curve for me, that how I can be mechanical in terms of making my efforts at the same time for these people. And that's where I started moving from corporate, and I moved into a development sector. And it's been 10 years now. I have been in a journey where I work into my passion, which is HR, but then I make sure that my end result is a child's smile at the end in a community, in a village where we serve. And I have been having multiple of stories. If I keep saying stories that our organizations have been doing, it would be like, a satisfaction that gives, like, it's not that money that gives you satisfaction sometimes, but then when you are working for something, you know that the end is something that is making life better for people. So I would say that was my turning point, and I moved into the sector for last 11 years now, I would say. Um, I started in a small zonal office, and then I moved into the national office, and then now I currently handle 24 countries globally. So, so that I would say, the journey had been a learning. It had been ups, and it had its own ups and downs. But then yes, um, I carried my passion that I had for HR. I know that I cannot leave that bit of it, because the reason why I took HR was also like I love numbers. I was an accounts honors professional, so I love numbers, and numbers, countings. Um, at the same time, I love, working around with people. It can't be just, numbers and machines. So there was the only one profession when I did my MBA. I realized that these two can club together as human resource, where you have numbers. At the same time, you don't miss your connect with people, and that made me to, continue with that passion. And I believe today, where I am into is, in data analytics and data decision making for my organization. So keeping the passion back again with HR, I make sure that AI doesn't impact that bad to human mindset that we actually have. They cannot take it over. I'm not against AI, but then I think AI can do what what human minds have started thinking of. So whatever the human mind do think, AI takes a step up from there. So
Right,
I would
right.
say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a
So
beautiful journey that you just told us, and the story is really, very interesting. And because I think what you found is your purpose, and I think that is very important. Finding the purpose and also connecting it with what you're really good at. That you're also passionate about. So human resource you're passionate about, and also thinking about giving back to the society. I think that's a beautiful combination. So and also numbers, as you mentioned, and technology, knowing everything, and together making a difference. I think that's a very, very beautiful journey. So that also brings me to my next question, which is, core values play a very, very important role in defining us and defining what we do. So what are your core values?
okay, I think no, I take that from my no, when a child is born, the first thing they do is they walk and they talk. So I carried that till now. I make sure I walk, and make sure that I talk. So what I walk is something that I talk. And if I am not walking what I am talking, is something against my own principles and values. So I make sure, no, because I would say that comes from my parent, my father, who had been, he was not a motivational speaker, he's not a managerial guru, but then, he is a he's a bible for me in terms of value system. So he keeps talking about this thing. He kept infusing those thoughts in my mind when I was, even when I didn't even know what the world looks like. But then he always taught me like how important is the value mechanism that you need to build in, regardless of skill set, attitude. The value system has to be very strong, and the rest will all fall in place. That's the foundation. So I believe my foundational principle had been throughout my career is like I make sure what I walk, and then I talk about it. Instead of I talk a lot and make it no impact.
That's so true. So beautiful. In fact, you walk the talk, and I think it has a lot to do with authenticity as well. And once you're authentic, more and more people really trust you in your abilities. So the connection, the human connection that you were talking about, I think it becomes much easier to build that human connection because you're authentic. You're very honest about what you're doing. So that's something very interesting. So I'm curious to know your success mantra. What do you think is your success mantra? What has really got you here?
Uh, I think I said that in the first question itself. I believe, I don't try to make it big at start. I try with small bits and pieces, and I make sure that, if you do your part of it, I know things will there would the whole world will fall apart and make your place, and then you can fit yourself in a larger umbrella. Like I would say, this journey, when I started, as I told you, like, that had been like, I started in a very small setup, where we were in a one room and with a couch and stuff like that. And I never thought that things are going to be where I am 12, 13 years down the line. And but then, yes, so I look at small bits and pieces around me, pick up those, make my small step, a baby step, I would say, baby step, and then you move. And then when you look back 12 years, I think I have taken thousands of baby steps and I'm up high now. I am not proud about it, but then I feel that's an achievement for me, because I never thought of taking a large leap at a time and fail, rather than taking small bits and pieces and get appreciative and motivated about, like, I have achieved a small target that I have.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Reminds me of a quote, the journey of 1,000 miles begins but with one step. So it's very, very important to take that first step and celebrate that success as well. So you set those milestones and then you start achieving those small milestones and celebrate at the same time. That keeps you
True.
motivated. That's
True.
such a important and such a beautiful learning even for myself. So what is it that you really want to share with other emerging HR leaders, with the young HR leaders? Some success story or something that you really feel a good message and advice for them?
I think three things that I just thought to one is be loyal, have high morals,
Yeah.
create an environment of trust. I think three things. We have a very competitive market around. We know people are running, at a very fast pace, waiting. And there are chances that when you run at the same speed, there are chances of stampede. What I would like to build is again a value mechanism where you need to build so that you can grow. Instead of I would never believe in a concept where we grow by pulling somebody down. You cannot grow in that mindset. If with the growth mindset where we are talking about, with the growth mindset, I think most important thing at this point of what I believe is let others grow around you through your knowledge and experience that you are sharing,
Yes.
so that you grow by them. And
Yeah.
that's been my multiplier mantra.
That's so wonderful. In fact, I mean, this is a very interesting point. This is the definition of growth, basically. Growth is not how well you are doing, but how are you empowering and enabling others also, around you. I think that is the real purpose, and that is what growth mindset also symbolifies. So thank you so much, Prasanjeet. It was such a great pleasure interacting with you, knowing you so much better now, and really wish you lots of success. Keep rising, keep shining, and keep inspiring us. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
so much, Aditya. Thank you so much. It's a glad.